Hey guys, welcome to another update from the IOEN team. We're just giving you basically an update as our weekly sort of cadence as we get back into it. Had a bit of a lull. We've been working pretty hard on the Redgood side and the development side with IOEN and that sort of partnership and fostering that partnership, making sure that that moves forward in the right way. Really, I'm joined today by James, who's our social media and marketing lead. Say hi, James.
Hey guys, how you going? Nice to see you all. Thanks for joining us on another update. We've been cooking up a lot of stuff in the background, a lot of content stuff, and fielding a lot of your questions. Today we've got Connor with us to give us a little overview of what's happening behind the scenes and a bit of commentary about the industry and startups in general. Connor, just in general at the moment, the market picking the bottom, bear market. Any thoughts? Anything notable? Anything encouraging?
It's hard, in sort of bear markets, it's difficult. You don't really want to make too many price decisions as far as picking bottoms and things like that. The old credo of you don't time markets. There is a lot of opportunity and a lot of millionaires sort of will be made, I guess, this year. I don't really like talking about it in relation to the IOEN project so much, just because we're in such a deep development cycle at the moment with IOEN. So price isn't really the top of our metric sheet at the moment. I know that that's disappointing to hear, but we can't operate a business where we're just checking the price every day or something like that. So we've just got to keep our heads down and use the resources we have in order to deliver on our promises, essentially. But it's definitely a difficult time for cryptocurrencies. But I sort of join a bunch of the other crypto commentators when they say, and I guess I echo the same sentiment, which is this is ultimately good for the industry. I know it doesn't seem that way, but a lot of projects that maybe shouldn't be around or that are sort of in the way, a lot of noise projects, they'll tend to wash away with these type of lulls that we get. And undoubtedly, crypto will be back as it always sort of has. These cycles continue and have continued for nearly a decade now. And I've got no doubt that we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel eventually. We're just keeping our heads down, and that's something that any sort of project will be doing right now in order to just make sure that we're around and make sure that we've got a decent thing to continue to bring out and to continue to develop, continue to launch, so that when the market turns, that's when everyone's positive about it and you don't get asked too many questions in those periods. So we could all be happy then. But it is interesting, like you mentioned before, crypto is being adopted in one way or another across the globe, which is really good to see. And like I said, I think that ultimately, even though it might hurt to look at the balance right now of your crypto, there's a lot in the pipeline and a lot of legitimacy coming to the industry, which is really good to see as someone who's been in the industry for a pretty long time. And it was quite different when I got into it than what it is now, which is really positive in my mind. So I'm still bullish on the whole, crypto thing. Of course, that's why we're here, as we sort of both are. But yeah, it's something that we just kind of put to the back of our mind while we're in that development cycle. So I guess something that we can update everyone on, and something that I really want to update the community on today, is the development of our simulator. So we've taken an approach of applying the IOEN protocol to a dynamic simulator in order to demonstrate the value. It's sort of written in like a game. It is, I guess, a game in a sense, which kind of fits into the Web 3.0 angle that we're all really excited about. Web 3.0 is a very new concept, and at the moment, as I've said multiple times before, Web 3.0 is really more of a marketing platform more than anything else, storefronts and demonstration of what it could become. But we want to be there when it develops into something more tangible, when it develops into something where there's actually people working in the metaverse, when there's actually a proper digital economy that's a cross-platform where assets can be plugged in and basically, you can take sort of your assets between platforms and things like that. So we're very bullish on the Web 3.0 concept, and I guess that's sort of our thinking when we're developing this simulator, this game. And we're receiving a lot of positive feedback behind the scenes with our commercial partnerships and in our conversations around the world. As you know, we've got a contact in Dubai. Carl, he's been really good. He's been pushing us on stage at a lot of conferences and things like that, which is great. He really believes in the concept, and he's receiving a lot of positive feedback from a lot of the serious companies in the industry that are just interested in, I guess, seeing what ION can do. And there's no better way to show or demonstrate ION's value than with sort of a simulation that it has a graphical interface, has a GUI, has something that can be touched and play with and manipulated. And it's great. Like we're able to plug it into the Tesla Powerwall now, which is huge. As we get more APIs in and more data, and as we sort of connect up, I guess, more to oracles as well, we'll be able to expand. At the moment, we're just sucking in as much data as we can and building on that and making sure that what we have at the end has a really significant value and an upside to, not just the people who are rich enough to put, a really high-tech home automation system with solar panels on the roof, regulating that, or in a community that has like a neighborhood battery that's really green focused and trying to be self-sufficient, but also the other end of the spectrum, these developing nations across the Middle East, down into Egypt. We're in discussions with some developers there. They see value in what we're doing in areas that are sort of starved from infrastructure and starved for creating sort of something new. We don't have to go to these old paradigms anymore of energy infrastructure. With developing countries, it's a huge opportunity for us because they have the ability to create something from not necessarily scratch, but something that is much more, node focused, community focused, where energy is properly distributed in these companies, or sorry, not companies, in these communities, I should say. And it's really exciting to be able to see that through that simulation as to the effect that it will have. So I'm really, really excited by the development that's going through at the moment. And we're very fortunate to have one of our lead developers, Phil, who's done a lot of work for the Holochain community, and he's on board with us, and he's putting in the hours at the moment, which is great. It's it's a really exciting time in the development cycle, but I'm also conscious of the fact that, I haven't been on one of these AMAs in a month or so, and that's just because we have our heads down at the moment with a lot of the end of the financial year stuff as well. Like I sort of head up the operations side of things. So I'm just doing a lot of reporting and making sure that we're on track and that we have the resources and they're appropriately put to use through this period to make sure that we're basically prioritizing everything we need to. But it's been really great from the community as well to receive like the feedback that we've been receiving. I'm really excited by that, and we read it, we take it on board, and we try to work it in where it makes sense, which is really good. Like we really do want to build that community focused project where we're building and making sure that the product that we have at the end, the protocol at the end, is something that will be able to be deployed and used across the world, really. Yeah. It's an exciting time.
So Connor, just wrapping up for the rest of the community, that's the perennial question talking about exchanges and those sorts of things like that. Just from an operations side of things, just touching on, just to give the community a bit of an idea what it takes, the reason why we want to make sure we step in the right direction and place every foot in the right spot. So you want to touch on that, on the speed of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give an update on sort of the exchange listings that we've got that we're having in discussions with, and also let's give an update on the staking stuff as well, and sort of more into our NFT that we're thinking about, or that we're sort of engaged in sort of building up. So the exchange stuff we have to time it in the right way. We have to have a correct exchange listing strategy, and a lot of thought has gone into that. We are obviously engaged with a lot of exchanges constantly in order to make sure that, when we can pull the trigger, we will. Some of the big ones as well have reached out to us, which is really exciting. We are in the as a community and as a token, we are in the top 10% on CoinMarketCap, which is really positive in the rankings. So it's we are still in that really sweet sort of bubble for tokens. The exchanges, I don't want to name them here, just because it's not necessarily going to happen in the next month. It could happen more in the next 2 to 3 months. That's something that we have to check and go through. I think and this is something that's sort of happening in the wider crypto community at the moment, with the introduction of the US legislation and a lot of other countries that will follow suit. A lot of these tokens are being scrutinized at a really high level. So, coming from my background, I come from a compliance background, specifically in cryptocurrency. So a lot of my role at the moment at ION is actually shaping up the development plan in order to make sure that we're going to be a proper utility token and a properly compliant token, just to make sure that we are attractive to these exchanges. And this is the feedback we've received from exchanges. And we've talked to the major exchanges on this, and we have direct channels with the major exchanges. And we just have to make sure that we demonstrate in our development that we hit those marks and put them at ease, because they're all tightening up their side of things. The legislation is going to be targeting exchanges first and foremost, and that's why we really have to satisfy the exchanges. So one of the huge deliverables for the last quarter was a token utility report that we've got, that's internal, obviously, and that shapes and guides our development for the next 2 quarters. So it's a really major project that we've had. And these are projects that are on the inside. So I know that it can be frustrating, I guess, from the community point of view, because not a lot is dripping out necessarily from us. But these are things that you have to do in the first 6 to 12 months of a crypto project. And we're here for the long haul. This is a multi-year project. There's lots of tokens have taken a few years before they really take off. That's how we see it. We see ION as a long-term, long-view project. And by addressing the token utility side of things this early on, it's putting us in a huge advantage. Now, it's arguable that we've sort of been not necessarily forced to address this earlier than other projects, but I guess you could say that just because of the date. It's 2022 now. If we were in 2017, it would be another kettle of fish. It would be a whole other conversation, because a lot of those tokens, they didn't have to address this stuff yet. They were able to just go out and do what they wanted to do without having to have too many concerns surrounding that. But with the years of lawmakers looking at tokens and looking at the crypto markets, and with the adoption of crypto markets into legitimate finance, with sort of the ETFs coming along in crypto, with a lot of the big hedge funds and investment firms now putting crypto into their portfolios, it was sort of inevitable that this legislation was coming. And arguably, this legislation certainly wasn't a surprise to me, as someone who's got that legal background in cryptocurrency, only because it is consistent with the case law. It is consistent with the assumptions, I guess, that everyone in that legal sort of crypto sphere had already. So at the moment, we've sort of got that report down. We know where we're at, and we know what we need to do to make sure the token is as attractive as possible to the big exchanges where we want to be. And now it's about baking that into the development side. So it's sort of leading the development team to ensure that the protocol and the token itself has proper utility and is compliant with the relevant legislation, which I'm sure will, it's starting in the States, but it will trickle down to sort of everywhere else. And that's something that we've consistently seen in that sort of sphere, in that legal sphere. So it's a lot of the projects, I guess, at the moment on the ION side are internal, but that gives you a little snapshot into what we're working on. So it's really big, really serious long-term stuff, but it's stuff that I think it's a real testament to the team that we're addressing it nice and early, and we're going to place ourselves in the best position we possibly can place ourselves in, which is really exciting.
Yep, exactly, Connor. Well, that's our mission statement is a serious mission statement. That is to accelerate and drive and bring home a clean energy economy. So you've got to get it right. And that's why we'll just give a special shout out to the team. Everyone, as Connor mentioned, we've got Phil, we've got Mike, we've got AB, we've got Sim, we've got Willem, we've got everyone out there, or Hard Driven. We're working hard, and we'll bring some more of these to you, and just keep your eyes out. We've got some more educational articles and everything coming at you.
Before we go, I just wanted to address one of the community questions that we've got in. And so keep sending these in, send them to Twitter. James will fill them out and we'll answer a couple on these AMAs like we've done in the past. This one comes from Ragecoin on Discord. And he basically just mentioned, I guess my question would be, what challenges does ION and the team currently face today, reaching the end of the year and year one from now? It's a great question, and obviously that's a question that comes up a lot in these early stage sort of tokens. The challenges that we face right now are growth. Growth is a big challenge that we have. So we're trying to grow organically. I think that's really the only way that this project will find its proper legs is through organic growth. So through community involvement, through all of you guys watching and word of mouth and getting involved in the project where you can. We'll have our bug bounty program launching really soon, which is great. That's where we'll get some developers involved, and we'll be offering some ION tokens for reward for some of the bounties, so for some of the development tasks. And we're going to have some low-hanging fruit in that as well, just to help get that involved. Things like documentation, so technical document writers. Watch out. We'll be updating the website soon, and it'll encompass the bug bounty program as well. As far as challenges, look, it's been a challenging year, I guess, for crypto. In the ideal world, our token would be through the roof, and we wouldn't be thinking about funding at all, and we'd have a bunch of ION that we could sell and buy back when we needed to. But at the moment, we've just got to hunker down really and use the funds from the IDO and develop and demonstrate our value really. So it's through these deep sort of development cycles of a few months. The last big launch I guess we had was the protocol, which was launched in March, April. We'll have another big development launch in the next hopefully few weeks. Sim will probably kick me for saying for putting a timeline on it, but no, I think that's where we're at as far as I can tell, which is great. And just to bounce back on the staking issue that I wanted to talk about. We're currently in talks and having some presentations and things like that from a colleague who has really, really good ideas, and we're starting to explore that now for how we can create some actual, intrinsic value for staking as opposed to synthetic staking. So synthetic staking is something that we did initially. It helps drive up initial sort of growth in the project. But as we're the cycle we're in now and looking for organic growth, we need to attach the staking to some proper value. And as soon as we can do that in a reasonable way, that's when the staking will be launched again. So as soon as we have a staking opportunity for us that is not synthetic or is very minimally synthetic, then we'll be able to open up staking again. So it's another one of those cases of watch this space, but it kind of has to be. I think when we crack that nut, it'll be really positive. And yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to being able to stake some of my tokens again as well in the project. So it should be good.
Thanks for that, Connor, and we'll talk to you very soon. Okay.